All right, let's open this meeting with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 2, open public forum. Anybody that is not on the agenda that wishes to speak.
Hey, Dave?
Yes, oh, yes, Doug.
Dave, I just wanted to let you guys know, the reason I'm not at the meeting in person is I had some surgery on my ankle and I'm kind of bedridden here for the next week, so I'm gonna be remote from my home tonight.
Yep. I was gonna mention that, but I forgot all about it, Doug. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, Doug's here, so we have a full council, and we will be roll call all our votes. So, all right. Anybody else wishing to speak? Otherwise, we will move on to number 3, approval of the amended agenda. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ryan makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Mike seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
I,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Roll call. Doug, Fran,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion carries. Number 4, consent agenda. A, minutes, May 13th, 2026, regular meeting. B, minutes, March 16th, 2026, library lease special meeting. C, resolution number 2026-22, a resolution approving annual liquor and tobacco licenses. Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Doug makes a motion, Ryan seconds it. All those, roll call. All those in favor, roll call. Doug,
Aye.
Fran,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Motion carries. Number 5, presentation of wastewater treatment facility, 30% design. Pete Daniels from Stantec. Hi, Pete.
Hi there. Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Hi.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for having me tonight. So I think last time I was here, probably we got approval to begin the 30% design phase of the wastewater treatment plant improvements project. So we've been working for the past number of months to prepare drawings and reports and keep working through details and working with staff on the plan for improvements at the wastewater plant. So this is a kind of update presentation to the council tonight. We've got some next steps, but just if you have questions and looking for input and the council. So here's an agenda of what we'll go through tonight. Some background, just refresher of some of the background and how we've gotten here so far. So reminder, the overview of the wastewater treatment plant. The industrial treatment facility has been online for a couple years now, treating the wastewater from the Cold Spring Brewery. There's preliminary treatment on the domestic plant, screening and grit removal to remove some of those big solids, the influent equalization ponds, secondary or the biological treatment that consumes most of the pollutants. Again, there's the 2 trains. There's the old train, the trickling filter that treats a smaller part, and then there's the newer activated sludge plant that was built in the early 2000s, and then UV disinfection, and then the sludge management pieces. Overview of the facility, just again a reminder, this part right here is the part that was built for the brewery, the industrial pretreatment, and everything else is the domestic wastewater plant that we're looking at the upgrades to. The city's permit was last modified in 2022 to include the industrial pretreatment facility. The permit is currently expired, which is very normal for many. It takes a long time to reissue these, especially when the city is planning a project like Cold Spring is. So we just had a call with the MPCA a month or 2 ago to kind of just give them an update of where things are at. But they're ready to start working on the permit whenever we kind of have the plans worked out on exactly what's going to happen and timing. But that's the permit status. The primary goals of the improvements here is to address aging infrastructure A lot of the facility is 30 to 60 years old. We are looking to get a more consistent treatment process, eliminate that trickling filter system, get everything using the same biological system, and then accommodating some future growth. You'll see we're going to plan for a little bit of a flow increase from the current permitted capacity, and then planning for future regulations, the main change here being around nitrogen. Really setting the city up for the next 20, 40 years down the road here. Again, I mentioned when the pre-treatment facility came online, we wrote a facility plan. That was the first deliverable that Stantec prepared, was that report. And we finished that up in 2024, and the MPCA approved that. So since then, we've been working on the 30% designs. We mentioned we've written a number of memos, design memos that kind of address it part by part of the facility. We have a design report that gives a lot of the background and basis for our assumptions and why we're doing things the way we are. We prepared about 150 plan sheets, so we're starting to get a pretty heavy plan set to start working out details. And then OPCC is opinion of probable construction costs. So we updated the construction cost estimate from what was done in 2024. We've also continued to be working on kind of some of the funding aspects. Positive news on bonding bill this year that included funding for this project. And then, the project's already on the project priority list for the state, but continue to have conversations with the state on funding. Rockville continues to be a partner in this, and I think Friar or some of Rockville might be here, so thanks for coming. So that's where we're at, and from that standpoint.
On that bonding bill, what percentage of the total cost did we get this time?
Yeah, so the amount that was in there for Cold Spring was $5.5 million. The total project cost is about $57 million, so it's about 10% or so. I mean, it's a big project, but still $5.5 million is
It helps.
it helps.
Well, I think once we start with a bonding project and we get it, it's more likely to get it in future years. They'll finish it. That's our hope.
Yeah, it's hard to know how things go sometimes, but it sure was nice that they recognized it. So, every bit helps for sure on a big project like this. So, the current facility is designed for a peak month flow of about 1.8 million gallons per day. We're now planning for an increase to about 2.1 million gallons per day, so about a 15% increase in the hydraulic capacity of the plant. So not a big change. So some of the key pollutants that we designed for, the VOD load or the organic load doesn't change. We are planning for more solids, and that sort of translates into how much sludge and sludge disposal you'll have to do. So that's the design criteria for the plant. I mentioned, again, kind of the three sources that we looked at to come up with this. This is a change from the facility plan. In the facility plan, we were thinking that it wouldn't need to be increased, but through some more work and conversations with the brewery, we realized we needed to add a little more capacity. Here's just some of the stats about Rockville from their 2003 agreement to the agreement that we worked out with them in last year. So you can see they're about 20% or so of the flow and some of the key pollutants there of the plant. So not much of a change from what you've seen there before. So by increasing the permitted flow, this does have the regulatory impact of this. And just to talk through this, your permit allows you to discharge so many pounds of pollutants to the river, basically, is what it allows a wastewater treatment facility. And so there's a couple, when the flow is going to go up, you can either ask the state, well, our flow is going up, we need to be able to discharge more pounds of pollutants to the river. And that is a long process called an anti-degradation review that is how you do that. Another way to do it is to say we're going to have more water, but we'll keep our pounds of pollutants the same, which means your concentration needs to go down to do that. So that's what we're planning to do in this case, because it's not a big increase in it, the concentrations that are gonna result are still very achievable with the technology that is gonna be used here. So we're planning to do what they call the mass cap limits approach there is what's being planned here. The MPCA has been working for many years to look at how to deal with nitrogen in discharges from wastewater plants. Many facilities already have limits for ammonia. Nitrogen exists in a few forms, and you have a limit already for ammonia. But there's other forms of nitrogen that most plants don't have limits for, but the state has been working on trying to implement that, and they still might. It's on pause for now. The technology that the plant already has does actually treat for that nitrogen. So you're kind of ahead of the game there, which is a good thing. And we're planning to continue that process, and it might open things up for possibly some other grant funding that might not exist otherwise, but it does likely mean accepting a limit for that total nitrogen, which they probably wouldn't give you otherwise. But if you take it, if the city chooses to take that limit, it could open up for some more grant funding. So we're continuing to work with staff and talk through how that works and work with the MPCA to understand their requirements. But if the city takes a total nitrogen limit, that would be a new limit that you don't currently have in your permit. Yeah, so here's, as I mentioned, if we take the mass cap limits, these are concentrations in milligrams per liter. Your current permit is 15 milligrams per liter BOD. It would go down to 12.8. So it's a slight reduction. Again, these are very achievable with the technology that the city has. Summary of the proposed improvements, basically updating every building would get some updates, replace old equipment. Some of the biggest changes is removing the trickling filter process and expanding the activated sludge and biological nutrient removal process. We built a new UV disinfection building. We put the new disinfection in a new building. New electrical service into the plant is going to be a big upgrade, a new generator just to help with that electrical reliability. There's a lot of power consumption at plants like this, so having reliable electrical service is really important. And then controls upgrades, the alarms and remote monitoring and that kind of stuff would be upgraded too. Won't really look through that, but it's maps kind of showing. Well, a couple of things I'll point out here. The influent equalization, so this is like if there's times of really high flows or high loads from the brewery or something, the city can divert that water into a couple lagoons right now. They're pretty hard to use, especially in the wintertime, so we're gonna get rid of these lagoons and build a tank with a cover on it, so they still have that. It's a smaller capacity, you can see, with the industrial pretreatment facility online. That really helps avoid the need for that, but we're gonna build a tank instead of using the ponds for that influent equalization. And then on the solids side, or the sludge that's produced from the wastewater plant, the changes here, it's a lot of the same technologies, but updating. There's going to be a thickening process to get rid of some of that water initially. We're still going to use anaerobic digestion. We're going to kind of modify the tanks there a little bit to get more capacity out of what you have. And then we're going to have a dewatering building, which is new, that allows, it squeezes the water basically out of the sludge, so it comes out more of like, it's kind of like a wet dirt kind of thing instead of liquid. And so that material could go to a landfill. So avoid the need to always land apply the liquid. To be a landfilling would be an option. And I think I had the slide in there last time too, but the closest landfill that this would likely go to is the Vonco landfill down in Becker. It takes dewatered biosolids from a number of other treatment plants as well. Mentioned one of the drivers for this too also, so we have the PFAS regulation slide. PFAS is a lot of environmental concerns and topics around this. The fluorinated substances state has come up with some new regulations that kind of are on for facilities that land apply biosolids. You have to sample, so you've probably been doing this, Tanya, sampling, and if you're above certain thresholds, you have to do different things. So avoids the need, if you landfill, you don't have to deal with that. So updated cost estimate from what you saw a couple of years ago, total about $58 million there at the bottom. We had a couple of years, the facility plan is about 52.5, so kind of going for inflation, we're still kind of right on there. But this is refined based on the new, more detailed design. So funding, we're on the project priority list. So in position with enough points to be positioned for receiving a low interest loan from the Public Facilities Authority. We plan to apply for the Point Source Implementation Grant Program this summer. That's a July application period each year. And what that's used for, I mentioned that this is for the nitrogen part of this. If you have a nitrogen limit, this is a grant program that can cover a portion of the costs related to that nitrogen treatment only. But we're going to apply for that this summer. There might be a portion of the project, there's a program called the Green Project Reserve. It's around energy efficiency, water efficiency. So we're going through the project to kind of see what parts might be eligible for that funding as well. We're going to work with the MPCA here in the next month or two to confirm what portions of the project would be eligible for that and the PSIG program. Talk about the bonding bill. Chris, I don't recall up on federal direct appropriation where applications are at, or if there's any action there, but I think you had some.
We applied for 3 and we've been turned down on 2 so far, waiting to hear from just Representative Fishbach yet. So slight chance.
But trying everything we can to whatever grant money's out there. Municipal bonding is an option for municipalities to pay for projects like this. The city's working with A2S2 on a rate study, so when that, I'm not sure where that's at, but that getting that completed might help just with planning and how we approach things going down the road, but put that on the funding program slide here. We've talked about, should this project be one big project? Should this be broken up into smaller projects? We're continuing to have those conversations now that the bonding bill played out. Maybe we'll see how the rate study plays out, but just, continuing to strategize around how we approach this will be a key thing that we continue to work with the city on. Allow for utilization of various funding sources that become available. We'd like to probably continue to move the whole design project, or the whole project design as a whole, to make sure we're not, as opposed to stopping now and just looking at a small part, but continuing to keep the big picture in mind as we move forward here. And then once we determine if something should be broken off as a smaller project, we can do that. But some more to come on the phasing portion. Took just a few excerpts of the plan sheet just to kind of show you what some of the stuff might look like. This is that equalization tank that's going to replace the ponds, but got all the drawings in 3D views, but it'd be with the square tank with a wall down the middle, so operators could use kind of one half or for the whole thing to be mixing in there as well to keep the wastewater well mixed before it goes for treatment. Here's the new activated sludge B&R tanks. These are air diffusers that bubble air up from the bottom. All these little circles bubble air up from the bottom to aerate and mix the wastewater. We build two new final clarifiers to settle the solids out at the end of the plant. These are the existing ones. We just built 2 new ones just like it. This is that new UV disinfection building. It'd be an electrical room, and the light bulbs that disinfect the water as it goes out. And anaerobic digester, we're just gonna use the same tanks, but improve the mixing and heating in there. This is the new sludge dewatering building that as the sludge, the centrifuges squeeze the water out, the dewatered sludge goes into a roll-off dumpster that gets picked up and hauled to the landfill. So, yeah, next steps, rate study we know is playing out. Just continue to work through the financial aspects and how this will continue. We are planning to start working on a proposal to present to the city for the next phases of design. Our current contract kind of took us through this point, the preliminary, but now that we've learned a little bit more, we're gonna start working on a proposal to take it through the 90% design. I mentioned we'll apply for the PSIG grant in July. Intended use plan is on here. That's when the city's ready to actually kind of begin the project. You apply for the IUP, that's the first or the next step in actually applying for a low interest loan through PFA. So we're not planning to apply for the IUP this year, but likely next year we'll be ready to apply for the IUP. You know the next step, Sam? The PSIG? Yeah. So that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Have you worked on any facilities where you've had to do the phasing, where you've had to do a part of the project and then wait a year or 2 years potentially? How did that work out, and like how long was the phasing for that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a city that did they did the first part before we got involved, but they I think it was, I'm trying to remember the years now, but probably in about 2014, they did a big project to improve their solids dewatering system. So they spent a bunch of money on their solids, but then they knew they had to come back to their liquids part later. And so it was probably 5 years later, we built the first phase of the liquids expansion. And now they're getting ready to, and then probably another 4 or 5 years went by, and now they're doing the next phase of their liquid expansion. Funding and, comes into play. I'm sure there's lots of other examples, but
But all the underground pipe, that all has to be in the first phase, doesn't it?
you try to set yourself up so you don't, so you don't.
So it's just above ground structure. It could, because the piping and everything has to be in phase with everything else, so.
And that's why we want to make sure that we're moving the whole design forward as a whole, so we kind of know where other future pipe stubs might need to be and all that kind of stuff, so that we don't miss something and have to go back and do something later, but that help?
Yeah, I think that helps, yeah.
The sludge removal, is that gonna be more than what we do now or less?
It's gonna be more. Right now, you don't do that dewatering step. You have 2 big liquid sludge storage holding tanks, and then every spring and fall, you load out into tankers and it goes out on the farm fields and you land apply liquid sludge. So the dewatering part is gonna be a new step.
I've been on those fields. Is there gonna be less water? Because not too long ago, I worked on an ag tractor that was spinning on that stuff because there was too much liquid. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the driver for this too, is the challenge of getting into the fields at a certain time and kind of having to be more at your own control of if you can't get onto a field, but you gotta do something. So now this will let you get to a landfill.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go to a field anymore.
Correct, yep. You'll still have that ability. You don't have to
Yeah.
use this. There are other cities too that have the ability to do this, but you've got flexibility now.
Okay.
So what's going to be gone then from our older?
Oh, actually, it's even
What's
taken
going-
off here. So the trickling filter is right here. This is
That's
this is the new, this is the main thing that's gone, and some of the stuff with the trickling filter here. The existing UV building is about right here. So it's trickling filter equipment and UV building are gone.
So those 2 tanks are gone too, the first 2
The-
tanks the wrong ones,
This is the anaerobic digester tanks.
Yeah.
These are gonna stay.
they're staying.
Yep.
And those 4 up on that north side there, just 2 of them now. Or is there gonna be?
Oh, actually, yeah, that's right. And then the two final clarifiers for the trickling filter are also gone. So 2 clarifiers, yeah. And then, so there's 2 clarifiers here right now. Basically, we're gonna
Built 2 new ones.
So there's going to be some demolition. Okay.
All right. Is there any action that needs to be taken then? This is just an update? Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go on to number 6 then. Approved guaranteed maximum price amendment number 1 for remodel project.
Gary and Chris could not be here tonight, but this is what they presented to you at the last meeting.
Okay. Recommendation to approve the guaranteed maximum price amendment number 1 from Donlar Construction for the City Hall and Police Department remodel project. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Fran makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Ryan seconds it. Any discussion?
So the amount they're suggesting is the same thing they presented to us last time.
It actually went up about 20,000. I didn't, and I only know that because I compared them. I didn't get a chance to talk to them about it, but I kind of went line by line down all the bids that they got, and one of them went up. I'm gonna say it was concrete or something. So I'm assuming that as they vetted through the contracts, they found something, because they said they were still kind of getting through them.
Well, do we actually look into that before we approve it though? Can we do that?
What?
You didn't actually confirm why it went up $20,000?
No,
Can we look into that before we approve that?
Oh, I guess it's a public hearing.
No, this is not a public hearing, sorry.
Oh,
We-
okay, sorry. My
Yeah,
apologies.
it's just for us.
Okay.
But to your point, that's why we have Donlar Construction doing it. Donlar Construction does all the vetting for us. They are hired to do that, so,
We should have something in writing from them, though,
yes, I think so too, but,
but we don't have it tonight.
okay. Is there any other discussion? I don't know that, do you want to put it off for 2 weeks and find out? Or do you just want to,
Well, if Chris is satisfied with what the numbers are, I guess I'm willing to go with it, but I would like to see it in writing and maybe they can furnish us
And
something in
maybe
writing
they
at some
could-
point.
yeah, maybe they could email us what it is.
Hurts now or later, doesn't make any difference. does it?
Yeah. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor, and we're gonna roll call. Doug?
No,
Doug is a no. Fran?
Aye.
Fran's an aye. Mike is an aye. Ryan?
Aye.
Is an aye, and I'm an aye. Motion carries. All right, number 7, dance style request city support of America 250 celebration.
I know I don't look anything like Dan,
I was
but
gonna say, you don't look like that.
no, he couldn't be here today.
Okay,
But I just basically wanted to get an idea of what we're doing to celebrate the 250th anniversary and how the city might want to help out, okay? We've got it scheduled for July 8th, which is the national celebration for the Declaration of Independence. On that particular day at 5 o'clock, they will be, across the nation, people will be reading the Declaration of Independence. So we plan on running an activity from 4 in the afternoon till about 8 with a 5 o'clock reading of the Declaration of Independence. Our focus is going to be on the children and getting them excited about our nation. We're going to be having a story time for the kids that explains the Declaration of Independence. We are also going to be having kids games. We're going to be doing a display of as many military uniforms as we have in our collection out so people can see. We want to do it outside. We'd like to do it on Main Street, just blocking off the section by the museum for it. We are being hosted also with the Cold Spring American Legion Auxiliary. We'll be serving cake or cupcakes as well as ice cream for the kids. And we will be having a photo booth for the kids. There's some ideas that are still kind of milling around, but that's basically what's happening. Let's see what I'm missing here. We're also going to be asking Cold Spring Bakery to become involved, as well as the Red Truck Inn for the ice cream part of it. And then also we're going to be trying to get the Cold Spring and Legion veterans involved in some form that particular day. But we are really looking for any more ideas of things that we can do for that 4 hours to promote the Declaration of Independence celebration.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
15 cannons.
Where do we get those from?
That's not child-friendly, Fran.
Yeah, it was very exciting at the end of the school year. We normally have tours from the Cold Spring Elementary kids coming in, and we have a big copy of the Declaration of Independence. And the first girl that walked in, she went right to it and she said, "Is that the real one?" And of course, we explained, but no, it was just a replica of it. But she was so excited, all of those kids, and they were all 4th grade. And that's kind of when we went, you know what, we need to get that excitement going with them all. So. You have any ideas that you'd like to see happen in addition? I kind of thought about maybe talking to Teals and have hot dogs there as well as the cake, just because, you know, the hot dog is kind of synonymous with the United States 4th of July kind of thing. So.
This is the Historical Society.
The Cold Spring Historical Society, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the date again?
July 8th. We initially wanted to go on a Saturday, and then when the nation made the decision to go on the 8th, it was like, okay, it's summer. I guess we can do a late afternoon or early evening event.
I think the hot dogs is a good idea, but you besides Teals, you could talk to Bob Sable about that also. He would have some
Yes,
ability to deal with that.
yes. I also thought it might be fun to have a jump house, but I haven't found anything that gets me excited about anything having to do with Independence Day or the 4th of July or Americans. Haven't come across that yet. We are going to be having a photo booth where we have life-size replicas of George Washington and Ben Franklin. We're also having a woman who is the great-great-granddaughter of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and she's going to be there, you know, just for fun, you know, so.
Good, cool.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you.
any ideas?
Yeah, if
Free to
anybody,
contact us.
yeah, if anybody has any ideas, get a hold of the Historical Society.
Okay, great, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, number 8, presentation of the 2025 audited financial statements. Jackie Knowles. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm going to be going over a summary of the audit results and the city's financial results for 2025. This I'm not, is it in this folder, Chris, or where am I?
It's on the USB drive.
Yep, okay. Right, the main purpose of our audit is to provide our independent auditor's report. In this report, we're providing an opinion on the city's basic financial statements. We're stating that the statements are management's responsibility, and our responsibility as auditors is to test those amounts and provide that opinion. And this year, we're offering an unmodified or a clean opinion. It's the best that we can offer and the same that the city has been receiving. What that means is that it provides assurance that the amounts in the statements are presented fairly and all material respects the position of the city as of December 31st, 2025, and all of the activity that occurred within that year. We have a couple of additional reports in addition to the independent auditor's report. The first is the report on internal control and compliance with government auditing standards. That's required because of some of the state and federal funding that the city receives. We take a closer look at the design and implementation of internal control, and then also compliance with laws, grants, contracts, other regulations. We had one repeat internal control finding related to the segregation of accounting duties. I'm sure that sounds familiar due to the limited staff needed to handle all of the accounting duties of the city. So we want council to continue to be aware of that situation. No compliance findings to report in relation to that report. And then the next report down is the report on Minnesota legal compliance. So another type of compliance test work that we do, this relates to the office of the state auditor and certain state statutes that cities have to comply with, and we didn't have any findings related to those either. And then the last bullet point here touches on our communications letter, which is a separate document from the financial statements, and in that we include some of the required communication to the council. We look at some of the financial trends for the last 5 years, and then there's some emerging issues or new accounting standards that are coming up. So with that, we'll move on to the financial analysis piece of that communications letter. So we'll start off looking at the city's tax capacity levy and rates over the last 5 years. And the city's tax capacity has been increasing overall over the last 5 years. That increase amount has varied a bit from year to year, just based on changing market values and how much those have been increasing year over year. The city's levy has had kind of a steadier increase, and so the tax capacity rate has varied a bit over the last 5 years, just based on those two factors and how they have changed. So ended at about 50% for 2025, that tax rate. Then we'll move on to the general fund, so the main operating fund of the city. And we start off here, we just have a summary of total revenues, total expenditures, and total ending fund balance. And we'll get into kind of the details of those numbers in the next few slides. But overall, all three of those numbers have continued to go up each of the last 5 years. Fund balance did go down a bit, about $168,000 as a result of 2024 activity. And again, we'll kind of look at the details of all that in the next few slides. But looking at revenues first, in total, revenues were pretty consistent from 2024 to 2025. There were some fluctuations by source. Taxes and assessments was up about $65,000. That was driven by an increase in the levy. Licenses and permits were down about $89,000. That was related to a decrease in the size and the number of building permits. So that, of course, can fluctuate from year to year based on development activity. And then intergovernmental revenues up about $68,000. And that was across several categories of aid: police aid, fire aid, some other state reimbursements, all up, various smaller amounts. Moving on to expenditures in the general fund, up about $450,000 in total. And that was primarily within the public works category, and that was because of the Main Street improvements project in 2025. So, a large reason why those expenditures were up. There's a lot of numbers on this next slide, but this is the budget to actual results for the general fund. So the first column is going to be the original budget that the council approved. Then we have the final or the amended budget next, actual amounts in the next column, and then we'll kind of focus on that final column, which is the variance between the actual and the final budget. So kind of a third of the way down, you'll see a $189,000 variance on revenue, so about 5% over budget in total. A lot of that was with intergovernmental, over budget, almost $115,000. Again, there's quite a few aids and monies from state and federal government playing into that number, but the biggest reason is because the Fire Relief Association joined the statewide para plan on January 1st, 2025, and so that fire aid is no longer flowing through the city's account and getting passed from the city to the Fire Relief Association. It's just going straight, into their account through the state. But the state of Minnesota says that the city of Cold Spring is the recipient of that aid. So it still needs to be recorded on the city's books in the general fund, even though the city isn't actually getting that money in their account any longer. So that was about $76,000. So that's the largest piece of that $115,000 variance. And then also on the revenue side, I wanted to mention miscellaneous over budget. That's largely interest earnings, just being conservative with the budget for that. On the expenditure side, in total under budget, about $99,000. That's about a 2.3% variance. And you'll see that was pretty much all within Public Works. Again, that Main Street improvement project, total costs coming in lower than anticipated for 2025. And then looking at the bottom line, the net change in fund balance. So initially, the council approved about a $329,000 decrease. Then with the amended or final budget, that decrease was approved at about $470,000, again, kind of all tied to Main Street improvements. Actual fund balance down about $168,000. So if you look in that kind of bottom right corner, the budget was outperformed by about $720. And then the very last thing that I wanted to mention on this slide, and I'm gonna get into the weeds a little bit here, but I had talked about how the fire aid was not budgeted, so that's why we see that intergovernmental variance. It also was not budgeted on the expenditure side, so it wasn't included in the public safety expenditure budget, but it was recorded as an expenditure. So that is why public safety is the one program on here that's over budget. So I just thought that was important to point out, because if that had been budgeted, public safety would be under budget about $42,000. So just wanted to point out that there was a very, specific reason why that one program was over. So then we'll look at the cash and investments and fund balances of the general fund next. And I'll kind of start at the top and work my way down. So the very top line is going to be cash and investments. And that has mirrored very closely with fund balance, which is kind of that rust colored line. That's total fund balance. Then the unassigned fund balance is the blue, and that is what's available for spending on any purpose. So it's total fund balance less the amounts that have been committed by the council for something specific. So there's a little bit more of a gap between total and unassigned in 2025 because there was an additional $350,000 committed for maintenance, the maintenance department building. And then the bottom line, in green, that's the fund balance goal. So that's the amount set in policy, that 50% goal. So you can see for the last 5 years, the city has exceeded its fund balance policy goal, comparing the blue and the green lines. And then with that, we'll move on to the water fund. Operating revenues were up about $105,000 due to a rate increase. And then operating expenses down about $47,000 with less maintenance and engineering necessary in 2025. So operating income, both with and without depreciation in this fund all 5 years. So that shows us that this fund is covering all of depreciation and it's building up future reserves for future replacement costs. This is the net position or the equity of the water fund. This has overall gone up over the last 5 years, although it has been pretty flat from 2023 to 2025. That net investment in capital assets, of course, the majority of net position, because this is such an infrastructure heavy fund, that continues to go up overall as the city continues to invest in infrastructure. The unrestricted net position, that's what's remaining, and that's what's available for spending on any purpose. That has overall gone down since 2021, although it did increase from 2024 to 2025 just based on the positive operating results. And then in the sewer fund, operating revenues were down from 2024 to 2025, about $568,000. That was due to the brewery having higher toxicity charges in 2024. And just kind of touching on the overall, decrease from 2023 to the current year that we're reviewing. Remember, a lot of the sewer fund was separated out into a separate pretreatment fund beginning in 2024. So we'll see that new pretreatment fund in a few slides. But operating expenses up about $118,000 this year related to an increase in wages and benefits allocated to sewer, and then also there was increased depreciation expense on capital assets. So this fund, similar with the water fund, operating income both with and without depreciation each of the last 5 years, so also building reserves for future replacement costs. Net position of the sewer fund, again, here's where we kind of see the impacts of that new pre-treatment plant. So the plant came on board in 2022, so the big increase, and then in 2024 it moved out to a separate fund, so we don't see it here beginning in 2024. And then the stormwater fund has been pretty consistent in operations over the last 5 years, especially on the revenue side. Expenses have varied a bit just based on various project and engineering costs that can kind of vary a bit more from year to year. But operating revenues and operating expenses up about $6,000 and $7,000 respectively in 2025. This fund is reporting an operating loss with all of the depreciation expense. And that is somewhat typical with what we see at other cities that we audit, that the stormwater fund, just the rate structure and how that's set up for this fund to not cover all of depreciation expense. So not unusual at all for a stormwater fund. And then net position for stormwater or the equity position of the stormwater fund. Overall up over the last 5 years, a slight decrease in 2025 with just depreciation expense on some of the capital. And then here's the new pretreatment fund that was established in 2024. So a lot of the sewer items coming over and kind of setting up this new fund. So we just have 2 years of activity here. Operating revenues were up about $278,000 with additional charges to the brewery in 2025 to kind of help improve the net position of this fund. Operating expenses were up about $611,000, primarily due to the first full year of depreciation taken on the pretreatment plant. So this fund is reporting an operating loss both with and without depreciation expense. That operating loss without depreciation was at about $201,000 in 2025, so something just to keep an eye on with this fund. The net position of the pretreatment the last couple of years, obviously very capital heavy, with the pretreatment plant being the majority of that net position. There was a small new $100,000 restriction this year, just an agreement with the brewery for some future capital needs. And then last we have the net position or the equity position of all of the governmental funds of the activity as a whole. So this is all of the funds besides the ones we just looked at, water, sewer, storm, pretreatment, rolled up together. So the net investment in capital assets, again, continues to be the largest piece. That increased in 2025. The city is paying off its debt faster than the capital assets are depreciating, so that's positive to see. The restricted net position is going to fluctuate from year to year based on the balances in the city's debt service and capital project funds that are restricted by external parties for a specific purpose. And then the unrestricted is what's left of net position, taking out those other two pieces, and that did increase from a negative position from 2021 to 2024 to a positive in 2025. And that was primarily due to the city paying off bonds issued related to like water, sewer, storm infrastructure. So paying off that debt related to those assets. And then there's positive operations and some of the other city funds too coming into play. So yeah, positive results for the net position of the governmental activities overall for 2025. And with that, that's what I had prepared, but I'm happy to circle back if anyone has any questions on anything. I know it's a lot of information to go over in a short amount of time.
Well, we talked about this lack of segregation of accounting duties, but did you find any problems with that, what we're doing, or?
No, it's more of an awareness. When we plan for our audit, we come up with tests to kind of address significant risks, and if we would have any issues or findings that result from that, it would be an additional finding that you would see in addition to that lack of segregation comment, but we didn't find anything. So again, just kind of an awareness with that one.
That gets set every year.
Yeah.
Nothing new with that one.
Right.
It's kind of circling back to the pre-treatment fund. So that operating loss of 201,000, what does that mean exactly? Is that the city is funding that loss? So that's, I guess I'm trying to figure out if we need to do something with the money we're taking in from the brewery to help offset that.
Do you mind if I address it?
No, please do, yeah.
It's a great question. So, we kind of knew going through the year that, the brewery's, revenues were not meeting their expenses. But they had asked for kind of some grace period in these first couple of years until they get all the, kind of the tweaks worked out of the plan, get it dialed in better. They're still working with some of their levels, and Jackie touched on one of them is that, like in 2024, they exceeded a lot of levels. They had paid a lot of penalties. It got better in 25, but they're still working on that. They do at the end of the year. Well, they didn't do it in 25. They did it in January 26 because we didn't. By the time we closed out all the books, but they did bring that to. They wrote us a check to level that out, and they paid interest on any deficit in that fund. So the city's not paying any of it. And then starting in 2026, we're going to review that quarterly. So if there's a deficit on March 31st, they're bringing it up to zero. So, and then we're going to they're also going to give us an extra 100,000 to keep in the fund so that in case there's unexpected expenditures, it's there on top of the 100,000 she mentioned. So they just asked for a couple of years to kind of work through the changes in the plant and the levels. And John, is there anything you want to add to that? Yeah.
Okay,
So-
yeah, I just wanted to make sure they're making us whole at the end of the year in some way, somehow, just
Yep.
that we're not supplementing.
No, and like I said, even the interest on that is they're covering too.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Good. Anybody else? All right, okay. Then I'll read the recommendation. Recommendation to approve the 2025 audited financial statement as presented. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Brian makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Mike seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor, we'll do a roll call. Doug?
Yes.
Fran?
Aye.
Mike?
Yes.
Ryan?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jay.
Thank you.
Okay, number 9, approval of fire contracts with townships. I just read the recommendation and go on, or?
Well, just a couple quick comments I wanted to share with you when I put the packets together. I had sent the final contract to the attorney. I did hear back from them since, and they said they found no issues with it, so our attorney is good with it. And just today, the Collegeville Township Clerk brought me 2 signed copies. They met last night and approved of it, and they
Okay.
signed it, so they're good to go. I have not heard back from the other 2 yet. I'm not sure if they've even met since they only meet once a month,
Yeah,
but I haven't heard any negative feedback either.
But you got all the little details worked out.
Yep,
And the rented square footage note that you had, they're fine with that little tweak?
mhm.
Okay,
Well, you did a lot of work on this.
yeah, for sure.
Been complicated.
all right, recommendation to approve the contracts with Wakefield Township, Collegeville Township, and Luxembourg Township for fire protection services for the period of January 1, 2027 through December 31st, 2031. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Brian makes a motion, Mike second it. Any discussion on it?
I guess I really wasn't happy about the length of the contract. We wanted to have a longer one, but it was a compromise. It was kind of crazy the way that compromise came about. I would like to see a 5 or 10 year
Yeah.
deal. That's all I had to say.
All right. Any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor, Doug,
I,
Fran,
Aye.
Mike,
All right,
Brian?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion carries. Number 10, welcome to Cold Spring Signs.
So this is a project the EDA has been working on. Fran's got a picture of it there. Yeah, Fran and Doug, feel free to chime in here, but I'll just kind of give you the overall. They would like to have 3 wooden signs made and put them at the 3 entrances on the north and south. EDA's been working on this for quite a while. I sent you the estimates that they got. I did amend the agenda for one little sentence today. We are working with the 3 property owners to get their approval, so we won't order the signs until we get that. So the brewery, St. Boniface, and Wakefield Township. So once we get them to all, we have an agreement, we just have to get that.
this is just the wood part of the sign, but aren't the sides gonna be granite?
No, they're wooden signs in a cement base.
And so the posts are gonna be wooden too?
Posts, probably
I thought there was gonna be some
Oh,
granite.
there would,
or
green
wood.
tree or cedar, but I think the sign on the west side of town off 23, Jim said it was gonna be granite.
Well, we're working on a granite sign as you're coming from Richmond. That
Okay,
would kind of mimic the one on the other side. But that one's gonna take a little bit longer. It's a lot more work and a lot more expense. So they just wanted to get these 3 going this year.
is this one gonna be fixed, the one on the east end?
And because I think the granite sign on the west side was getting close to like $60,000, so
Yeah.
we're gonna sell donuts.
What's wrong with the east one?
Well, if somebody hit it, it's kind of falling apart, isn't it?
How many times? It's gonna hit a lot.
But
You're not
I
gonna
think
do
the
anything?
city maintenance is going to set them, right?
What's that?
City maintenance is going to set them, or
Those,
not?
yeah.
Those,
And pour the cement too, right?
no, we're gonna have a contractor pour the cement.
Pour the cement,
Mhm.
but the city maintenance is going to erect the sign.
Yes.
Okay.
And whoever's gonna fix the other one.
What?
Whoever's gonna fix the other one.
It's only been hit about 15 times.
I know. You fix it and somebody's gonna hit it again. Okay, recommendation to approve the purchase and installation of 3 wooden welcome to Cold Spring signs on the following properties at St. Boniface Cemetery, Cold Spring Brewing Company, Suite D, and Wakefield Township Parkland, as shown on the maps provided by staff at a total estimated cost of $5,375 for all 3 signs, which includes a sign installation by Public Works and a cement base to be paid from the EDA fund, contingent on getting signed agreements from the property owners. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Brad makes a motion, I'll go to second.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Ryan seconds it. Any discussion on this? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Doug?
Aye.
Fran?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion carries. Okay. Number 11, discuss civilian review board and employee responses. Kayla Ayers.
In this folder, I have the emails on Talking About Question if anybody wants to review them. Do you want to take a look at them? You can pass them, I just need them back at the end. Alright. You can't see? Is that done?
No, Doug's not up. Doug's not on.
Okay.
He doesn't, yeah, he's not on camera.
Okay.
He's just on the phone.
Perfect. All right, good afternoon, residents of Cold Spring and city council meeting attendees. I want to touch on my first topic right away, which is city employees' responses to residents via email and phone number. Via email and phone. How difficult do you think it was for me to set up this time? What would you expect, city council? Any idea?
No.
Should take like one email, you'd think, right? Super easy, right? Or no? What's your opinion?
To get on the agenda,
Yeah,
depending on the topic, it may be difficult then how many items are on the agenda.
I guess how long would you take for your response? How many meetings do you think would occur before you'd be able to talk on the agenda? You think 4 meetings would be acceptable?
I don't know if I have the right answer for that.
Does anybody have an opinion they want to provide? No? Okay. We will move on then. Well, fear not, there's no guesses needed because I counted for everybody, how many times it took me, how many emails and how many phone calls it took me to speak here today. Before today, I assumed it'd be relatively easy as a resident to schedule speaking time with our local government, but unfortunately that has not been the experience Chris Dockendorf or other members of the city of Cold Spring have provided me. I originally contacted Chris Dockendorf, Jason Blue, Dave Heinen, Doug Schmitz, Fran Rambler, Mike Fall, and Ryan Hennon on April 8th in regard to bringing the idea of a civilian review board to assist the chief in reviewing police complaints. My email very clearly quoted, and this is a direct quote from the email provided, I'd like this issue brought to a city council meeting in confirmation of a discussion of a civilian review board to assist the chief in reviewing any future complaints. Does that sound clear? City council?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Chris, does that sound clear? Yes. Thank you. This request took 12 phone calls and 24 emails to be completed. And that email that I just mentioned was in my first email. Okay, just to clarify. Chris Dockendorf did not complete my request until May 22nd when I verbally read my email to her over the phone and confirmed that this was done correctly. Is that correct, Chris?
It wasn't a request, you said you would like to see it on there. It wasn't a request to put it on there, and Jason and I talked about it, and it is not our recommendation for a civilian review board, so I made the decision not to put it on an agenda.
But you do recognize that I specifically said I would like this issue brought to city council meeting in confirmation of a discussion of the civilian review board to assist the chief, and that is my right as a citizen and resident of Cold Spring, correct?
I don't have that email in front of me.
May I have this? Can you please read this email? And let me know when you're done?
No, I'm not gonna read it. If you said that you would like to have it brought to a
Can you
council
please just
meeting.
read the bottom part then? Because this is your email, this is the confirmation, and this is just a
Yeah, you
sentence.
said
Can you read that?
you would like to bring it, you would like it brought to a council meeting.
And that is confirmation that I would like to speak on the agenda. Is that clear to you? Or no?
No,
No.
you
Okay.
said you wanted it brought to a council meeting, but Jason and I decided not.
So just to confirm, everybody is not clear if a resident emails and asks, I'd like this issue brought to a city council meeting in confirmation of a discussion of a civilian review board to assist the chief in reviewing any future complaints. Is not good enough to set up time with an agenda. That's not clear enough. Correct, Chris?
You didn't ask me to, no.
This is word for word what is on the email.
I would like, it doesn't say I request it.
So it needs to say, I requested in order for you to process a resident's concern, Dave?
Good way of putting it. That would be a much
So
better
to
way.
clarify, this was not clear to you and you would not expect Chris to process
Actually,
this?
personally, this review board, I told Chris, we're not doing that.
Okay, that's fine, but that's
And
not what I'm
that's-
talking about right
and
now.
that's
I'm just
why it
talking
wasn't
about the
even-
concerns of a
that's
resident that
probably-
weren't properly
that's
heard.
probably
Dave, may I
part of
please speak before you respond?
That's probably part of the reason
Dave,
she
may I
did
please
not do
continue
that.
and speak before you respond?
Go ahead.
Thank you
Because-
very much. I appreciate that. What I'm asking is if a resident, not me, anybody sent an email saying, I'd like a blank issue brought to a city council meeting in confirmation of a discussion of this blank issue to assist in reviewing. Would you add that topic to the agenda or what would you do with that email? How would that email be processed, Chris?
I can only speak to yours. I would treat it on a case-by-case basis, so I will.
So did you process this correctly? You are confident in how you processed my request? Okay, thank you for confirming that. During the above mentioned conversation, Chris confirmed multiple times that she read my email. Which is this mentioned email? Would you like to read it, city council members at all? You're also part of the chain, so you should have and should have already read it and be aware of it as well. I verbally read the entire email out loud to her, and then she completed my request within 3 minutes. So something that took Chris Dockendorf 3 minutes to perform, which she has paid $127,000, took me, a resident, a citizen, whose time was not respected, 12 phone calls and 24 emails. Do we think it is acceptable for Chris Dockendorf to behave in this way when she's paid $127,000 out of resident taxpayers' money? Because I personally do not. And if I acted that way at any of my office jobs, I would immediately be on double audits. I would have managers coaching me on how to properly respond to an email. Incompetence at this level feels like it's purposeful. It is my personal opinion that it was done in an attempt to make me, the problem, go away and prevent me from being able to speak and exercise my rights as a resident. I did want to add that only one city council member did promptly answer my email, which is Ryan Hennon. He did read my email and he did respond properly to my concerns. Advised he would research the idea of a civilian review board. Dave Heinen responded once, quote, directly from his email, I'm only doing this once. The matter you're referring to is a police matter. And as far as I hear from the city administrator, they took care of it, which she did not. The other suggestions you had can go to the committee as she sees fit, which was not an answer response to my email. I directly was trying to set up this meeting with city council, and that is how Dave responded to me. I also left him multiple voicemails asking him to return my call, and he never once returned my call. Fran Ramler also never once returned my email. Mike Fall responded on my email. Excuse me, sorry. I just need a moment. Mike Fall responded on May 19th advising he wasn't sure what I was asking. Is that really funny? Because I really didn't think it was funny. It made me really sad.
Because I don't have a phone.
Okay. So he responded saying that he wasn't sure what I was asking and Chris could make this an agenda item. So this is the 19th, still hasn't been done. It was done on the 22nd. So at this point, it still has not been completed. Mike then responded to me. I then responded to Mike on that same day asking what was unclear about my message and copy and pasting the original statement, which is again, I'd like this issue brought to a city council meeting in confirmation of discussion of a civilian review board to assist the chief in reviewing any future complaints.
Okay, can I stop you a minute? Can I interrupt a minute? First
Can
of
we
all,
wait till I'm finished, actually? This is very emotional for me and it would be very kind and
But-
I would like, and I'd be happy to answer any questions
the council,
once I finish what I've spoken on. If
well,
that's
I'm gonna
okay
tell
with
you
you.
this, the council does not set the agenda. The mayor and the city administrator set the agenda.
I know, and I totally understand that, and we can talk about that later. This is for Chris Dockendorf and Jason Bloom. I understand you guys did what's within your responsibility, but you still did not respond correctly to the emails
Well,
or
we don't have
properly
any
read my
authority over that.
emails. And that's the point that I'm trying to bring up is the only person who properly responded to my emails was Ryan. And I'm just trying to put light to that. Does that make sense? Okay. So then I quoted and sent him the original email saying, I'd like this issue brought to a city council meeting in confirmation of the discussion of a civilian review board to assist the chief in reviewing any future complaints. Mike then responded 2 days later on the 22nd saying, I just got your message yesterday, when he had already responded to the email he said he didn't receive on May 19th. On May 22nd, I sent an email to everybody mentioned because my request for my speaking time being added to the agenda was still not handled at this time. And I was at 10:43 a.m. on May 22nd. So I sent an email reminder. This email chain started on April 8th, 2026. And there have been multiple meetings after that in which Chris has failed to add my request to the agenda per my knowledge. At that point, Doug Schmitz emailed me back advising I will not over the phone have a discussion about this issue. I would love to have a discussion on a city council meeting, which is what I was trying to ask for the entire time. And not a single person resolved it at this point. I then called and spoke with Doug because for whatever error on my end of my email, I wasn't able to contact him, so I thought he had blocked my phone or my email address, so I contacted him. And I explained how I have concerns with him and how he was not properly reading my emails or addressing my concerns as well. We took care of the blocking. That was like a tech error. He did not block my email, and he was able to send a test email, and he did work with me on that. He then honestly did some concern that my issue hadn't been handled, so he himself offered to contact Chris on my behalf to have my request added to the agenda, which he, to my knowledge, did contact Chris to do that. Chris, unfortunately, still did not add the correct item to the agenda. She did not read my email that she multiple times had claimed to have read and processed. So at this point, I received an email from Chris advising that she had added city council blocking meetings to the agenda. At this point, I was so tired of emails because clearly this is not a good way to get anything done or be involved in your local government. Don't email if you want answers. You must show up to city council meetings. You must do 8 million things because that is how you were respected, apparently, according to the Cold Spring City Council and Chris Stockendorf. So I then called Chris directly, and that is when I spoke to her and had to read the email verbatim for her to do her job. To me, this is unacceptable. I grew up being told working in local government was a privilege for people who had hard work ethics, people who wanted to pick themselves up from their bootstraps and work hard and not be handed spoon-fed participation trophies. And I do just want to know, Chris had all of the information needed to schedule this meeting at the very first email that was sent on April 8th. I am so saddened and disturbed by the way I've been treated, and I hope no one else has to go through the same experience. To touch on a positive note, Lois L. and Danielle H. both are employed by the city of Cold Spring and did process my email questions unrelated to the above topics efficiently and professionally. So I do want to appreciate and celebrate that small victory. And then for my last topic, I want to discuss the idea of having a civilian review board to assist our chief of police with any officer complaints. Now, you guys probably haven't heard what a civilian review board is. So, essentially, what it is it would be a volunteer civilian review board that would meet and provide disciplinary and policy recommendations to the chief of police on all civilian-initiated police conduct complaints. Now, just to clarify, was that funny? Oh, I just saw you laughing, so I just wanted to address that, but thank you for that respect.
I don't think you're respecting us right now, so just keep talking.
I'm sorry, what do you not feel respected by?
Just take it off my time.
Okay, perfect, so I will explain that then. So please note the chief of police would have the final authority over any disciplinary actions. It's fine, if they want to be disrespectful and show they're disrespectful, that is their way they would like to shine themselves. Excuse me, okay. So please note the chief of police would have final authority over any disciplinary actions, so they would just be giving recommendations to the chief of police, essentially. He would still have all of the power in that way. So why does this benefit us? It helps prevent bias. There's an issue with only having complaints reviewed by the supervisor of the person we're complaining about. So this helps prevent that because it's hard for police to put themselves in civilian shoes, hard for civilian to put themselves in police shoes. That's why a combination of the both, in my opinion, is the perfect mix. So what other community benefits do we get from this? Community involvement. So I personally think I love residents being involved in local government. Chris makes it very difficult, as we can see, for people to be involved in local government. I don't like that. I want people to have an easy process working with our government and understanding. And I think we need more people involved in local government. And incidents like this make people not want to be involved. So, community involvement. Community members are given a place to voice concerns that will not only be heard by law enforcement. The community at large can be reassured that discipline is being imposed when appropriate, while also increasing the transparency of the disciplinary process. Oversight agencies can improve department policies and procedures. Policy recommendations can prevent issues by identifying areas of concern and subsequently offering options to improve policing. By establishing an oversight system, public officials are provided the opportunity to demonstrate their desire for increased police accountability and the need to eliminate misconduct. So all that information I just provided to you is actually benefits are sourced and cited from NACOLE.org, which is the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. I personally would love for a more open and honest experience with our law enforcement, as it feels as though adding a civilian review board might be a wonderful start to that. I myself have questioned some of the protocols and procedures officers from the city of Cold Spring have exercised, as well as the lack of cooperation I've received from Jason Bloom. When I have attempted to educate myself further on police department, their policies, and what our current department goals are at this time. I actually had an interview set up with Mr. Bloom, Chris Dockendorf, and then I did ask Dave to attend, but he never responded to the 4 voicemails I left him.
I've got a job I have to go to.
So maybe we need to look into a full-time mayor. But it's a good thing he's up for re-election, my friends. So anybody who wants to offer themselves to run for mayor,
Full-time.
please do so, because we do need somebody who can respond to constituents. Moving on, so I sent up an interview and it was scheduled for this morning at 10 a.m. I originally sent it on May 20th, and all parties were notified on May 20th of me setting up this meeting and me wanting to ask the following questions to Jason. I will let you know what the questions were. Please explain your approach to promoting the concept of 21st century policing throughout all sections of your department. Second question, based on your knowledge of our city and its demographics, what are you currently focused on for tasks as chief for the next 6 months? How far along with those tasks do you expect to be in 6 months? 3, what are your philosophies and techniques used relating to recruitment and retention of law enforcement personnel? 4, explain what methods you use for keeping the city manager informed about problems within the city and issues. Provide an example of a method you've used. 5, can you provide an example of where you handled a sensitive critical issue or crisis that affected or had potential to significantly affect your relationship with a manager or chief executive? What was the outcome of that incident? What training techniques did you use to resolve that incident? Please be specific. Do you think having 20 hours of vacation for your first 2 years of employment as an officer is okay? If not, how have you advocated for change? So they were aware of this email since the 20th, and they chose to email me yesterday at the end of the day. It was about 4:20 something, I believe. So Chris emailed me with Jason CC to advise the following, and this is a direct quote of the email I received. I do believe you guys also received it now too. I forwarded it to you. Police Chief Bloom and I will not be meeting with you tomorrow. And this is in regard to the questions that I did just advise, just to let everybody know. Police Chief and I will not be meeting with you tomorrow. Please consider this email our notice of cancellation. Your unreasonableness when we have attempted to communicate with you are indications that you are not operating with us in good faith. The city will follow up with you as appropriate after the city council hears from you during tomorrow's city council meeting, at which time you can address the 2 issues on the agenda for that meeting. I did follow up with Chris and Jason already, and I did also CC our mayor, asking to confirm if Jason will answer my questions via email, but I have not yet heard back, and from my experience, I probably never will. And he's like nodding his head because he's really proud of what a good job he does. And just so everybody knows, that's the salary we pay Jason Bloom, $116,000 to do such a fantastic job, as he was so proud and smiling and nodding over there. So far, I feel as though the city of Cold Spring makes it very hard for residents to educate themselves and stay active in their own city's government, and that has deeply concerned and deeply disappointed me. I think our city is overdue for big changes because what I've experienced is unacceptable. And I truly hope this is a big learning experience for everyone involved, so no one has the same experience as me, because that is disrespectful and should be a shame. I also hope the city, now that you know of my experience and you have seen this proof, and you have the proof in your emails, you take the appropriate disciplinary actions towards employees not properly doing their job. And I will be sure to follow up on that. Thank you for your time, everyone. That is all I had for today.
All right, we'll go on to number 12. Fire Department report. Chief Dan Weber.
Hi, Dan.
Just got a couple of updates, I'll just give you. 296 calls to date. We're ahead of last year already.
Oh, good.
It's going, I think we had 12 calls this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been busy. Burning restrictions are off now as of yesterday. So people out in the townships can get a permit from the burning or fire warden, or
Online from the state of Minnesota DNR.
you're only allowed in the city to have a 3x3x3 pit area to burn branches, no burning leaves, no burning garbage, otherwise you'll get a ticket. The other thing is, had Chris some more paperwork yesterday. We were talking today a little bit. We'll get more writing written up and it'll go to the state of,
Or to League of Minnesota Cities and a few other places for the fire truck and the ambulance, so we're working on it.
All right.
All right.
Is that it?
yeah, that's it, no
All right. How's the new fire hall doing?
good.
Good?
Yeah.
Getting everything in place?
Yeah, it's getting there, it's getting pretty filled up already too.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Taking care of us.
You're welcome, yeah.
In a couple weeks, you'll have
The company over there?
Oh, yeah, all kinds of company. No, we should be fine.
Yeah.
We'll get through it.
And no bias or taking for someday. Good job. Yeah. All right, thank you guys. Anything for me?
Has anybody got anything for Dan?
Thank you.
Yep, thank
Thanks
you.
very much. Yeah.
Right.
Number 13, Public Works Director Report, John Stevie, along with Sam Butler.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Hey, John.
No request for action, just some updates. Just wanted to let you know that the crack filling for 2026 is out for quotes, sent to 3 different companies. Barnum, Aztec, and Bertram. I believe Bertram did the crack filling, Aztec did the seal coating. Our goal is to try to do as much crack filling as we can this year, and then we'll see what we have left for seal coating. To me, crack filling is important. Try to fix some of our roads that a little bit older, but they have some decent amount of cracks in them, not like alligator to crap, but still salvageable.
Well, you judge on the quality of their work, or are they all using the same materials, or?
They have to follow the spec, yeah, same material, same width, same depth, all that.
Well, the outfit we had last year was pretty fast, I thought.
Yeah, they did a nice job. Last few years, we've had really nice crack filling jobs. So that's why we don't put it out for silent bid anymore. Now it's just, we can just get quotes. So as long as we get 2-3 quotes, I'm just using the good companies that have, in the past won our jobs and also did a good job. So.
Has anybody talked to you about alleys at all? Sealing alleys?
No.
I know my neighbors talked about ours. If we could, I don't know if the city does that or if the homeowners would have to.
Well, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
If you wanted a paved alley, I believe it was 75% or more of the homeowners in that alley had that
It is paved, but we were wondering if it's
You know, we do pothole filling on it a lot of times, but we've never really done
any sealing.
any major maintenance. I don't know if major maintenance falls under the homeowners of the alley, because they paid for it.
I don't
I'd
know.
have to look
I
at
think
that.
so.
Would.
We kind of quit on it anyway because we didn't allow the garbage trucks to go in there anymore.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what,
they stopped
and
that.
then, yeah, when the garbage trucks had to go out, then there was less interest when I was on that for them.
And ours is getting kind of bad.
Yeah, we plow.
Well, and then that alley, we talked about here a couple other times, over in the southwest side.
Oh,
I think you put some gravel on there or something, but
Yeah, well, that was from a homeowner's water main break that ran through that alley, and ever since then, it's been kind of a nightmare. So it's been slowly getting built up with
do
gravel.
those homeowners have to, if they wanted it paved, would they have to pay?
Yeah.
Since it was paved at one time?
Yeah, anytime they want to replace it, it still falls under the same policy as far as the percentage of homeowners have to agree with.
sealing would too yet then, I suppose.
I think so, because the city's sealed any in the past.
Should look into that once. I'll talk to my neighbor and, let him know, but.
The last couple meetings with the lights out by Franz and Red River, just want to let you know that the utility companies are aware of them. Hopefully they can get out soon and fix them. The one on Red River, we did get Design Electric notified them, so they'll be able to fix that if they haven't already. And then I wanted to give you an update on Third Avenue Southeast. The last few meetings, I've had conversation with you about the right of way and where MnDOT's gonna stop, when they plan on doing Highway 23. They're not planning on doing Highway 23 until 2033. That's a long time from now. With that, from the north section of our project to Highway 23 is pretty rough. And it's not like falling apart like the other parts of that road, but there's definitely cracking and things going on. So had conversation with Chris. My recommendation was to add it as an addendum or an alternate to the bid for a reclaim and repave on that little section like we did on Main Street. There was a $5,000 charge from the engineer to add the plans and specs to that part of it. We made the decision to have them move forward with it so we can at least see a number because I think it's going to be beneficial. At the end, I don't think it's going to be overly expensive to add that section, and I don't think we want to keep that section knowing that their project's not going to get done until 2033.
Is that the left
2033?
turn
Are you
lane?
kidding me?
That's what MnDOT told me.
Is that the left turn lane then, is the problem?
What I'm talking about right now, yeah, is from basically
Coming down
the
the hill and
radius,
taking the left,
the radius from 23 all the way back to our project by Chapel Hill.
yeah.
Where the curb stops.
And the rest, half of that road looks better, but
Yeah.
with the,
Yeah, so they would they put in the bid spec for bidding, restriping, just doing the base course of pavement this year, because that's all we'll do on Third Ave, and then doing the wear course next year, so that it all blends in and matches. So we'll have our main bid, and then we'll have an alternate bid for that section. And then the bids, it's out right now for bids, so
Okay.
hopefully in the next, I'm assuming week or two, we'll have them here presenting bids.
Follow up on that little area, the catch basin, I think on the, I guess the west side, doesn't seem like that's in the lowest part of the road, and there's just ponds there.
that's.
Are you talking right off the radius of Highway 23?
Yes.
So that's gonna fall in the MnDOT right-of-way part of it. If you want us to address it, we can have a change order during the project at that time, because it's not on the bid right now, but obviously those contractors that are doing this work would definitely be able to tackle something like that.
Because if we're gonna go through this process, it feels like it might be a good time to fix that little thing then too.
Yeah.
But maybe if we could just add that in there too and just have as an option.
Yeah, I think we can look at that after the bid comes back and talk to the general contractor and have him give us a quote. And if it's astronomical, then we can just have a local person try to coordinate and do it with them.
And I don't know how much it has to move, if it's something that's doable with rings to try to get it to flow that way, or if we literally have to move the whole structure and not.
Sometimes it's just the curb and gutter over time is settled, and maybe mud jacket too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have to look at it.
Okay,
Since we're talking about that intersection, the lights don't recognize a motorcycle. To turn the lights, you gotta wait for some other vehicle to trip the lights. 'Cause isn't there enough weight there or what?
I don't
Because on my motorcycle too, it won't trip the.
know if that's looping in the street though. That MnDOT should have cameras, but I'm not certain.
I think that is looping.
Is it? I know, like, when you're headed south off of Main Street and you want to turn left onto 23 heading eastbound.
Yeah.
There's been times where people haven't pulled far enough forward and they have had that issue too.
Oh, okay.
But I thought they had those more on a timer now, or they rotate more because of pilgrimage traffic.
I know when we were doing the feasibility report, I had reached out to MinDOT and they said that anything that was reclaimed there, those loops would have to be redone.
Because they took them things out of the pavement for weight and they went to lights in the past years, right?
So that's something we'll have to look at, that Sam just brought up though. If
Yeah.
we're gonna add that part to the project, and if those loops,
I always gotta wait for somebody in my motorcycle to wait for somebody backing me to trip it, and I'm up there. I was just wondering if there wasn't, like what causes them to trip, a laser beam or something, or.
yeah. I know, like when we did Red River, we changed those to cameras. We got rid of the loops. It was the extra, I don't know what it was, $7,500 or something, but we changed it that time. Knowing that it was the expense if we ever did the road again, we'd have to change the looping. But I'll email.
I got the horn, and it wasn't, then this person in back of me was really
Yeah.
wanted to get going.
Yeah, people are in a hurry. I'll email MinDOT tomorrow and talk to them about that looping, because that might actually complicate
Like
things a
back
little.
into the intersection, I wonder if that works.
Just get off your motorcycle, no.
Start waving a little bit.
All right.
Okay, that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
I want to bring up that roundabout again. I've talked to our county commissioner twice. I've talked to both the prior engineer and this engineer about doing something about the roundabout. And now the cement is coming out, there's holes in the cement that need to be fixed. The last time I talked to the commissioner, he sent a memo to the engineer and advising him to get on it. And have you heard anything? Is anybody, it's bad.
Yeah, and you're talking about the transitions from bituminous to concrete, not just the pothole.
Great. The potholing is going no sense.
Yeah, I know, I've
That's
seen
not
that.
cement.
And they usually come, because you don't put cold patch in that, you put some special, they put some special material in there. I can't help that situation, but what we can do, when we do award crack filling, if you want to, we can have the crack fillers, crack fill those seams shut and fill them in with crack fill.
Well, but it's the county's job.
Understand that, but for that few $100, if it eliminates our problem,
But it probably is more than a few $100 because it's on all the.
yeah, all three of them, I know, I've driven them all after I've talked to you about it, it's bad, but. I don't know if that'll eliminate the problem, that might over time settle too, I don't know. Matt Zinniel is the guy at the county that is in charge of that, and we've talked to the right people to get the word along, passed on to him. I mean, the guy that was here, the head engineer, we ain't gonna talk to anybody better than that to pass the word along, so I don't know what else to say.
Well, maybe you can keep nagging them.
I can.
I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's just hazardous even.
I'll send an email to the county, to Matt, and maybe I'll CC that engineer on it,
I appreciate it.
and see if that gets any rolling.
John, I like what you're doing for us.
No way.
Oh, no matter.
Okay, thank you very much. Go on to number 14, city engineer report, Sam Butler.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only update I have for tonight is really just echoing what Pete had said at the end of his presentation. So we will begin working on a proposal to do the 90% plans and specs. Hopefully, take a little bit of time, but hopefully in the next few meetings, we'll have that proposal to present to the council. And then the immediate, I guess, next task for Stantec that we started on is, I think Pete had mentioned it, just working through the cost estimate and picking out parts that would be eligible for PSIG. So we kind of go through the cost estimate, pick out equipment and whatever else would be eligible for that PSIG grant. And then we will take that and go to the NBCA and see what they agree with and kind of go back and forth and see approximately what the city would be eligible for in a PSIG grant. So that's our next step, the proposal, and then go from there.
Is that one of those things where you can get grant money, but you're gonna spend a lot more money on the project to try and get that little bit of extra government money?
In this case, not necessarily, because we're kind of mirroring
you know, the part of treatment that's already there.
Sure.
That was our plan all along, and it's for nitrogen and I think phosphorus removal. So in this case, no, it's not.
It felt like, I think it was at Kimball Library where they got, I don't know if it's state or federal funding, but a project probably was twice as much as it needed to be just so they could get that funding. But if it's all paid for, I guess maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. But, okay, that's all I want. Thank you.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything for Sam? Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 15, Police Department Report, Chief Bloom.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening.
Hello.
Just some updates for me. Number one, the speed trailer, the one we ordered that was damaged, the new one is supposed to ship on the 29th, so hopefully we have it in the next week or two, and it shows up in good shape. We also listed the 2024 Explorer on Minbid. It's a surplus government auction website. The final total was $7,075. So since we started using that auction site, we've done much better than when we used to do those bids and that type of thing. So last week, Officer Mueller received a letter of commendation along with 5 deputies with the incident that occurred over in Painesville last summer. I included a letter from Stearns County Attorney Janelle Kendall, which she talks highly of not only Officer Mueller, but all the officers that were involved in that, and kind of gives a pretty good description of what all happened. So just if you see him out and about, just say good job to him. And then ordinances, I think we reported that last time it was in the city was over 130. Town's Edge was their own kind of separate number. It sounds like the good majority of them have taken care of the issues. I think we're probably roughly dealing with about 20 people that still trying to work through a few things. But thank you to everybody that took care of that. If you haven't yet, please finish that up. Officers are going around. I think they started today or earlier this week of following up to make sure everything was taken care of. So
So if they're not taken care of, they're getting a ticket.
They'll get a city citation. If it's still not taken care of, they can do a state citation, which would give them a day in court to let everybody do their
You
side.
issued any of those citations yet?
I don't believe so, not yet. Tomorrow. So it will happen soon. So if anybody hasn't taken care of it, please make sure you do that.
How long do they have? Like 2 weeks or what is the time
Usually
frame?
we give them 14 days. They were dated. They took them a couple days to go around, so the dates on there might not have been actually mailed out until the following week or something to that effect. But from when we mailed them out, we gave them 14 days, and then we follow up to make sure it's taken care of.
It's not a shot at people either. I mean, it's an ordinance that wasn't followed. We're not picking on people. It's just take care of it and it goes away. We're not.
And I think the majority of it is, just little things that need to be, garbage removed, new tabs, vehicle, that type of thing. So it's just keeping the neighborhoods looking nice.
No. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. But other than that, that's all I have, unless you guys have questions for me.
Anybody got anything for Jason?
Yeah, the curve around by Rookery Drive there.
Okay.
They park right by that curve, you gotta swing right, there's nothing we can do about that. I've had people up there, think they got us, the first curve. They park right the curve, if they would park a bit away from the curve or, so. Sometimes.
Can take a look at it and,
Play dodgeball there with the cars.
Gotcha. We can take a look at it, and I think the only, other than 72-hour parking, we'd have to paint it as a no parking zone or that type of thing.
Yeah, there's nothing, we can't paint the curve or nothing like that, we just have to, that's fine.
Anything else?
Nope. Thank you very much. Number 16, City Administrator Report, Chris Dockendorf.
Just to let you know, so I'll talk a little bit about the library first. We had a walkthrough last week with the owner, well, actually his realtor, and the Great River team. And the reconstruction was done, the remodel, but they found a few things that still need some tweaking. So they're working on fixing those, and we're going to do another walkthrough next week, and I believe it'll be good to go. So and then they'll be able to move in and hopefully even ahead of schedule a little bit,
Okay.
depending on when they get their internet switched. So, I do have a big sign on order for out here, you know, with
Okay.
our new addresses and things. And, I've been putting it out on social media, and I want to take this time to tell the public as well that, we're planning on closing on the 9th and the 10th of June to move all furniture, get the phones hooked up over there, internet hooked up, things like that. So we'll be here, but we'll be moving stuff, so. And then hopefully by end of day on the 10th, we're ready to get work the next morning at the new location. So, and just a reminder, this is our last meeting here. All future meetings will be at the DEF.
The June 10th meeting will be at the.
Yes, yes.
That's it?
That's
And
all.
you're gonna put something in the paper, you said? You're gonna put something in the paper also?
Yeah, I can follow up. There was something in there, but I didn't put another thing in. I did put, we had it in the newsletter and I put it on Facebook, and I'll put another follow-up.
And maybe on the sign outside, we can put something.
Yeah, yep. And then, and also just a reminder to the public that all the elections will be held at the DEF too. And we'll do our best to get that word out.
All right. Anybody got anything for Chris? Thank you very much, Chris. Number 17, commission updates, planning.
The planning commission, had a pretty good discussion actually on two different topics. First one was the idea of having a chicken ordinance and being able to have chickens in city limits. Chris did some legwork and reviewing and researching it, and, you know, it was a discussion that had people that were adamantly against it, some for it, some on the fence, and I think at the end of the conversation, we had decided to at least have Chris draft up that ordinance change so we could have a
Didn't we
have a
have that
vote on it.
already?
What's that?
Didn't we have that already? Like 8 hens and no roosters? We didn't.
Right now, you can't have any.
So that was all made up then, because some people have chickens, you know, but no, they can't have roosters.
And that's
Can't have
what
either
we'd
one.
seen in the ordinances, is that was kind of how it was laid out. The number varied a little bit on how many chickens you could have, but the rooster is kind of universally out, yeah, so.
I think that would be the issue with the roosters.
Yeah, the noise, smell potentially, potential for rodents and other things, but,
I
yeah.
thought we had that.
Yeah, so we discussed that, and then the other ordinance change was fencing around pools. Currently, we require a fence around pools. But with the cover technology that's out there, there are many cities now that are allowing people to put in pools without fences, because the pool covers they're locked, so when you close it, you can't open it, and you cannot fall into the pool. I mean,
But is that for above ground pools or ground level pools?
this would be in-ground pools.
Oh, in ground.
Yeah, and then these particular covers are very specific.
Oh,
Research Emily Kaiser, her dad's son, because she actually had that pool cover, and he was still able to go through with that.
Well, there are different pool covers too, in this particular one. Not to
I
say
think
that,
it's a double safety, we should keep that,
and
just
not,
personally.
and not to say that something couldn't be done, but it's, this particular type, I have it, so you can literally walk on it.
Child drowning, I
You
think is
can't,
like the number.
you can't open it, without having a key, so I mean, but that was the other one we talked about, and that's another one that Chris will be, bringing a draft of the, ordinance change to the, planning commission, so.
many years ago, we made one fill it up with gravel, didn't we, Chris? Up by where you used to live.
Oh, when they wanted to get rid of it, they filled it in, is that what you
Something
mean?
about they had to fill it, they couldn't leave it open without water or something, isn't that what?
I'm sure that must be a building code
Oh.
requirement, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would think that would.
Sure.
But that was, those were the only two topics we really talked about.
What EDA? EDA, well, we only met on the 11th, so we already discussed all that. Yeah, that was those signs and the granite sign on there, so. Okay, park board met, we went to Riverlinks, looked at the park land there and talked about different things with developer and see what can be done or what, and there was a couple of residents there that talked about what they would like, so it's just a matter of getting funding to do it. That's where it sits at right now. But that's about all we had that day. Oh, we did have, Ryland Sable came and talked about, Lookout Park again, gave us an update, which was really good. Recording Trail, Doug?
Yeah, we did meet, they talked a little bit about, the maintenance from 14th Avenue West where I'm starting, the roots are coming through, Pete, and, city maintenance from Richmond, they're gonna take a look at that.
Okay.
Then we talked a little bit, turnover to the state, I guess that's moved now to the next level, so sounds like things are moving forward on that, and
Okay,
that's pretty much about it.
all right, thank you. Number 18 then, list of bills. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list presented by city staff. Can I get a motion?
Well, I'll make that motion, since our report of the city, I think we can pay them bills.
All right, Fran makes a motion, I'll go to second.
I'll second.
Brian seconds it. All those in favor, Doug,
Aye.
Fran, aye, Mike, Brian.
Aye.
And I'm an aye, motion carries. 19, general questions and comments from city council. Doug, you got anything?
I just want to say thanks for allowing me to attend online here tonight.
Oh, absolutely, Doug. It's a good way to do it. At least you can participate in it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Absolutely. Fran, you got anything?
No.
No. Okay. Mike, you got anything?
No.
Brian?
Doug, I hope you heal quickly.
Thanks.
Need your energy in here. And then, the other thing is, I just want to touch base on a couple things. I know your experience with the city wasn't ideal, but my working with Chris has been nothing but professional. All of my experiences and the people that she has also worked with, I've not heard anything. So this is a little bit of an outlier. So I apologize that that's your experience, but I can tell you that the vast majority of the people that come and work here, citizens, businesses alike, have all done very well with Chris. And she is quite honestly, she's one of the friendliest people I've ever met. And it, so this whole scenario was a little bit shocking to me. Chief Bloom as well, very professional individual in all accounts
Did you see him shaking his head at me while I was literally doing my speech?
And I understand, and I think a little bit of the consideration that probably needs to take place is the messaging. Sometimes it's in how you phrase it. Because I think sometimes when a person has a good idea and you want to sell the idea, it's how the message is phrased, how you put it out there. Sometimes it gets
I read how I phrased the message. Can you explain how that would be met with that?
Let him talk.
I'm just saying.
I just don't agree with it.
No,
It seems like you're trying to smooth over.
just
Okay,
quiet.
please don't shush me, Dave.
Shit.
You need to have respect for everybody. Thank you.
I mean, decorum in the meeting.
Is that decorum?
It is, because Dave actually, as mayor, Dave actually can tell anybody to stop talking. He is in.
Would you speak to somebody like that?
when you are leading a meeting like this, you have to sometimes. That's just exactly what needs.
Nobody else was
This-
spoken to like
But
that.
this situation, I'm just saying, this is just my comments, that's it. So there's no more,
Okay.
there's no more public speaking from anybody, honestly.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude, that's just how the meeting
Understood.
plays out, so I apologize for that. All I'm saying is that your experience is an outlier. Your experience with how the police is an outlier. I appreciate that you brought an idea to us, you know, as a council, talking about the civilian review board. All ideas are good. We need to vet those ideas, see if they work for us.
They've already said no to the idea.
Yeah, but please,
Just so you know.
I'm just saying, okay,
Yeah.
these comments are just, right now, there are comments, that's it. There's no back and forths here. So the civilian review board, again, could be a good idea in a different situation. Small communities, it doesn't work. I mean, we've had 3 complaints in 6 years.
Not true, I don't believe.
Well, these are the numbers, 4 including yours. So there's a lot of things that just don't make sense about it. My
Maybe we
experience,
fix it
my
now.
experience with our police staff has been nothing but exemplary. And I'm just gonna put that out to the public because I just think your situation when you were talking to everybody, I think some people may get the wrong impression, and I just need them to know that that's not the case.
And they can reach out to me for copies of
And
the
I get that,
emails at
again,
any
this
point
is,
as
again,
well.
this is I'm telling you, this is probably part of the reason why some of these, the messaging that you're trying to portray comes off so poorly, is because the way you're pushing it, you got reel it back and help people understand, you don't, it's just a lot, I'm just saying this.
Yep, and I think I did do that with my speaking.
You
portion
did,
with
yes,
everybody. Yeah.
you did a fine job speaking, I'm just saying, this group of people do a great job. Everybody that works for this city does a great job. And I just want people to know that I appreciate it, and I know the people of Cold Spring appreciate it, so, thank you.
I want to add to that, you can keep,
I'm a person of Cold Spring and I don't appreciate it, just so everybody does know.
104,000.
I want to add to that, you can keep sending emails all you want, but the only authority that council people have is in this room. And I have no authority to tell Chris what to do, I have no authority. The mayor and the city administrator make the agenda.
Right, but you do read the emails and you should respond to the emails appropriately, correct? I mean, you don't have to. If you don't, that's fine. I'll just keep coming to every city council meeting and I'll just
You
show.
have to respond to people.
Please do not speak to somebody like that. Don't say just shut up. You need to calm
Okay,
down and
that's
just
enough.
say thank you.
We're done.
Hit the gavel.
Okay,
Because they all show up in this town and they
motion
live in the
adjourned.
same echo
I'll make
chamber.
a motion.
We just
I'll
have to-
second
Ryan
it.
makes a motion, second.
Good.
Doug,
I don't wish to speak with you.
all in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Fran? Yes. Mike,
Yes.
Ryan, and I'm an aye. Motion carries, so over with.